Hello everybody, welcome to Bobonomics. I'm Bobo, and this is just going to be a quick Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. If you don't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh, you probably don't need to watch this, but I'll jump right into it. This is Artifact Virtual World, just an idea I had. I like innovating with this deck. This is the only competitive deck I play, and you'll probably see more deck profiles if I ever get something super creative. Like, I tried True Datascape with like Draco Phoenix during VFD format last year, but I never posted or anything, but I like being original and stuff. So let's just start off. We got 3 Lulu, obviously best card on the deck. 3 Gigi. 3 Lala. I'm doing 2 Nian, 1 Tao Tao because this is a Tzolk'in Turbo deck. 3 Lily. And then here's the part of the artifact package. We got main deck 3 Lancia. These are the hand traps. Just 2 Ash because 3 is a lot. 3 Gamma and Driver. Gamma with Lancia is like a lot of synergy. If you resolve Lancia and then use Gamma on your opponent's turn, your Gamma and Driver stay, and that helps you combo off for next turn or just get more damage. So here's some one-ofs in part of the artifact package. We got Artifact Scythe. He's a brick. Well, not really, because if you draw him, you can pop him with Ignition, which is just some mystical space stuff in. We got Monodragon Zernatron. So this guy basically protects the Swallow Trap whenever it's popped. You can bring it back and set it. The synergy with this is that if you have a Ultimate Tzolk'in up on your opponent's field and you set a Swallow Trap off him, you get to trigger that Tzolk'in, summon another Crystal Wing or whatever monster you have as a target, and he's also just level 6 right there, so you got synergy, and he works in the graveyard, so he's a free discard if you draw one first. Artifact Ignition, this card is literally just Mystical Space Typhoon, super free, and it's not once per turn, so I play 2. However, like if you draw 2 or 3, they don't really have synergy with each other. You can't pop them yourselves. You can pop your Scythe or Lancia yourself if you draw those, so that's good. But yeah, it can serve as a going second card, or just a card to set for Tzolk'in, and a card that sets for Tzolk'in during your opponent's turn, which is the main reason this artifact package is like included in Virtual World, because you can kind of do Tzolk'in Turbo with it. Then we're gonna do 3 City, obviously best card. 3 Desires for consistency. 2 Foolish Burial Goods for consistency. It's once per turn, and it's kind of a neg 1 inherently, so I don't want to play 3. Emergency Teleport. It's about to be at 2, and if I played 2 E-Tele in this version, I'd probably play 3 Nian Yan and just cut the 2-2, but 2-2 comes up a lot. 3 Qinglong and 2 Chuche, 1 Zhuanu. Pretty standard stuff. And so far my impressions of the build is that, you know, it's obviously more dependent on going first. I'm only playing, I guess, 8 hand traps with the 2 Ash, 3 Lancia, and the 3 Gamma. I would definitely cut this guy in the main deck. I don't even know if I would side him in, because I don't know if I'd put him in going first or second. He's never come up. I took him to 4 tournaments, and I literally never resolved him once. There was one game that I won where I could have resolved him if my opponent like decided to play, but they just scooped it up immediately. So I was already in a winning position, so I didn't really come up that much. But yeah, I went to 4 tournaments with this deck, and I topped all of them. However, I think I could have done even better if I was just doing standard Virtual World, and it's just a matter of, you know, playing it well. Oh shoot, bug. Just a matter of playing it well, in my humble opinion. And, you know, Lancia is obviously kind of dead against some decks. The main decks I lose to are Drytron and like Phantom Knights, ironically, even though my main deck Lancia still doesn't do much. So, yeah, I'd say it's got the flaws of regular Virtual World. It's even a little more brickier. Let's go to the extra deck, because that's very important. This is where it's like super different from regular Virtual World. So I'm playing 2 Tzolk'in here. This can come up a lot. You know, you make 2. The whole point is that you set stuff off Artifact Ignition or Monodragon Zernatron. And you can set Lanciers and Scythes too, which also will trigger Tzolk'in. And if your opponent tries to pop them, you know, they're dead. These are my Tzolk'in targets. Crystal Wing. He's just a Monster Negate. Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. This dude basically helps you win in time. I never summoned him once, but he's just the 3rd level 8 Dragon Synchro you can summon off Tzolk'in. He can also just board white monsters and do damage. Oh, this is for, I guess, the Exist portion. I got my standard toolbox like Synchros, Vermilion, Coral Dragon, Stars Charge Warrior, Juju, Shen. I don't make Shen that often in this build, obviously, because it's more focused on making Tzolk'in, but Shen's still good. That's probably why the standard build's better. Here we got our Zeus Stuffsy, so most expensive card in the deck by far. We got M7 still for toolboxes. Gaia Dragon Thunder Charger, and here we got Dragonlark Perrin. Not really commonly played. This came up only once whenever I had Scythe in my graveyard, so This can special summon Scythe during your opponent's standby phase. You can basically recycle Scythe, and it won me a game. So it's pretty good. A slept on card kind of, but not very consistent. Like if you really want to be most competitive, you're going to be making Tzolk'in, Crystalline, then like Shen Shen for follow up, and you don't want to depend on making Beatrice to send Scythe or drawing Scythe into starting. Then Enter Bladnir, also don't think came up, maybe came up once like in the 4 tournaments. So overall, I'd definitely say, you know, the main deck would be improved by cutting the Mono Dragon Zernitron. This is 43 cards, by the way. I did have Called by mained for the first tournament or two, I think. And I think, you know, replacing Mono Dragon Zernitron is probably better just play Called by instead. So you can do that. But ultimately, you know, the build itself's not optimal. I could also do like 1 Ignition, because Ignition didn't really come up. This is my token. This is the side deck here. 3 Droll, because I'm scared of Drytron. 2 Nibiru, because I'm scared of Drytron. Could do 3, but my third one's in another deck, and I think this is a pretty good ratio. Droll, like, even if you draw 2, can still be good. And Nibiru, too, like, you don't really want to ever open multiples. 2 Twin Twisters for back row hate. I'm not really scared of trap decks much, but if I ever played against Pranks, this is going in. The 1 of 3rd Ash Blossom, just because, you know, this can hit things like Red Ice Fusion for a Dragoon package, Nadir Servant, whatever, things that easily break your boards that you make, so I think Ash is warranted. It's high impact against some matchups, so it's worth playing. And if I'm going in blind, sometimes I'll side in an Ash, and usually I'll side in Drolls because I'm scared of Drytron and anything that can, like, generate crazy advantage. Droll will always, like, prevent some board from being as strong as it could be. We got Phantasme, the 1 of, I guess for Striker, because a lot of Strikers played at my locals, but in general, like, I played him once, I think, against Drytron, and I did win that game. Or no, it was against Dinos, and I won the game. Imperial Order, so these are my going first cards. We got Imperial Order, pretty good. 3 Sanctums, pretty good. Again, though, like, they're not as good as you'd think, because if you draw the Scythe, they're just not great, and, you know, multiples are not great, and I don't know. I've literally only once, like, actually resolved Sanctum with Scythe, and I won that game. That was the game where I made the Perrin and recycled back the Scythe, but it was a lot of maintenance. And then Prohibition, the 1 of, just because I only have 1 Secret Rare, and I really like this card. In a competitive setting, I probably wouldn't play Prohibition, but this really kills stuff like Eldritch, and, you know, you can always side in going first and call Nibiru or something if your hand can't play around that. And Called by for the Drolls, Ashes, Bells, you know, whatever. Heretic Seals if you're going second. But in general, those are my going first cards. I won't always side them all in for each matchup. Obviously, depends. So yeah, that's just a quick deck profile. I think the ratios are pretty good for this. The Foolish Brittle Goods and the Desires are obviously probably necessary for the consistency of the deck, because other than that, or without it, struggles. I've considered cutting a Lancia and a Zernitron. Maybe replacing them with something that you lose harder to, like, or put in Drolls because you lose harder to Drytron, something like that. But overall, I like the ratio. The deck has served me well. I just don't think it does enough more better than regular Virtual World to warrant playing it in, like, a competitive setting. But it definitely works with the Tzolk'in Turbo. So if you ever want to try it out, or if there's ever better level 8 Synchro Dragons that you can summon off Tzolk'in, this deck could be a threat. And I'd like to note that, you know, for next format, if it's Flundereeze, Zhang Jin format, like, these cards are actually main deck worthy. While now they're not really main deck worthy. So maybe this variant could be a little better. Also for the extra deck, I was really missing a rank 3. That's another thing I'd probably change. And Utopia Beyond, like, I normally play Utopia Beyond in my regular build. I'm so used to making him, I might find something to cut. But I really did need all of these except Scarlight and maybe Enter Bladnir, so it's kind of tight extra deck space to fit in. But yeah, that's it for the deck. Let me know what you think, if you think this would ever be, like, the optimal way to play Virtual World. There's definitely a lot of interactions that can come up, but they just in practice don't that much. Like, I still brick at least once a tournament with this deck, and, you know, it's 43, so you're not supposed to draw 1 ofs that much, but you're still, like, not playing more consistency cards than your other decks, and then you're not playing more going second cards than your other Virtual decks. So yeah, overall, definitely cool, fun to resolve, fun to innovate and experiment with. Probably not the best, but I did top 4 times in a row. I got second place at the first event, and it was like maybe 20 people, Then I got, or no, sorry, third place first time, then second place, then third place again, then like fifth place basically for the most recent one. All of them are pretty meta tournaments. Like people don't only play Rogue there, and so I think it's a decent representation. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you maybe learned something, and have a good rest of the day, I guess.